So welcome to another episode of the Life of Elvis podcast. Today's guest is Dave Sheahan. He's an triathlete, high-performance consultant, and author. So thanks for coming to my podcast.
Great to be here, Elvis. Thanks for inviting me, and hopefully what I share will help your audience.
Yeah, looking forward to this. All right, so let's start just from the beginning and tell me your story, how you got into fitness and how it helped you.
Okay, well, I'll go right back to when I was 7. From the age of 7 to 17, that was a period in my life that was very difficult from a mental health aspect, because while outwardly I seemed like a happy-go-lucky kid, everything was great, I was laughing, joking, helping make people laugh, all that side of things, everything was good externally. Internally, I just hated myself, had a lot of self-image issues, no confidence, and even a lot of suicidal thoughts and even semi-attempts during that period, especially as a teenager, when puberty kicks in and girls and all that kind of stuff. So my head was in a bad place growing up to 17. A friend of mine who was big into the gym at 17 was at me to go to the gym with him. And to me, my image of a gym was, it's just a bunch of knucklehead bodybuilders and I'd be there looking like an idiot, lifting these tiny weights. And there's no way I'm putting myself in that situation, especially with where I was in my own head, But he was persistent. He wouldn't give up. He kept at me. And eventually said, look, I'll go once and shut him up and I'll never go again. And I went that once and I never came back out again. And it actually was what saved my life, really, because of where I was in such a dark place. When I got in there, I just loved the feel of exercise. I loved the results of the exercise over time, the effective good nutrition, because as I got an interest, started to learn more and more and more about exercise, nutrition, what worked, what didn't work, what worked for me, and so on. And I gained more self-esteem, gained more confidence, felt better on myself, liked my body more, and all that goes with exercise and good nutrition. And entered some competitions, and I became a Body for Life champion. And that was a huge transformation for me to get to the body I really wanted. And it wasn't just about the body, it was more the fact that I set a goal and I decided on it. I set a plan, I did the plan, I got the result. And becoming a champion was, it's nice, but it was more the overall reward. But the biggest thing was the way it impacted my mental health and the way, as I said, it literally, exercise saved me. And nutrition, of course, saved me from where I was, potentially not even being here right now, and took me out of a dark place. And basically since then, I've spent my life dedicated to educating, motivating, and hopefully inspiring people to do the exact same.
Yeah, that's great. So what kind of training did you start with when you first started going to a gym?
The first time was weights. Like my friend who was trying to get me in was big into the weights. And so it was mainly weights I was doing at the time. Like I was always into sports. So I was big into playing like soccer and tennis and all kinds of different sports. So aerobically, that was something I was used to doing. Weights was totally new to me. But again, I absolutely loved it. Like that's what he did. So I got into that straight away. So I started doing a lot of weights, and my first type of training was more into bodybuilding. That was like the competitions and things I started getting into. Mm-hmm. And I was still doing like running and other cardios, but it's a weightlifting I really loved. It's like what I find with people in general even is some people love cardio, they hate weights. People who love weights typically hate cardio. Now, obviously, we need a mixture depending on what our goal is, but usually no one likes both of them. It's usually you like one or the other and pretty much don't like the other one. But so it was a lot of weight training and, typical standard kind of training, because it was, usual kind of people in the gym, usual kind of training methods. So that was my initial exposure to how to train, because like when I went in, I was very, very skinny altogether. I was like, nearly skin and bones. When I look at photos, it's like I nearly cringe. And that was a big part of why I had such horrible images in my head of going in there in the first place, and poor self-esteem and confidence. So when I started to gain a bit more muscle mass and, feeling better and confident in myself, it made such a difference. So I suppose that was probably part of why I really loved the weights, because you do see a result very quickly when you're doing weight training, especially when you're coming from a very low base.
Yeah, definitely. Being a beginner, you can make progress very quickly. And it's always hard to get you first started, isn't it? Going the first few times to the gym when you're feeling like you don't know anything, you're in a, you're either super skinny, weak, or overweight. And it's like, it's just getting started is the worst. But once you start going and you start seeing the results, you can get really hooked on that.
Yeah, and it is an addiction. It's a healthy addiction, and I think the environment matters hugely. It's like my image of going into the gym and what it would be like. The gym I went into, while it had a lot of kind of bodybuilder athletes in there, it didn't have like some gym environments are very intimidating and over testosterone filled, and it's very much ego filled. But that's a very intimidating environment for someone to go in who has a bad preconception of what it's like. Thankfully for me, while I had a bit of that, it wasn't totally that way, and I had a nice enough environment where it was that I went into. So like I think that kind of helps. So your environment helps, having a trained body helps versus going in on your own. It's like my friend like encouraging me to go. Like he just wanted someone to train with. That was partly it. Like he didn't know anything about my mental issues, how I was feeling. Like it wasn't like he was doing it to help me that way, but it's more just for us to do something together because we were good friends. And, I'm always thankful to him for pushing me because he could have just given up because I was insistent I'm not going. But for weeks and weeks kept at me, and eventually his persistence paid off and I went in. And it was like that. It became an addiction. Like I loved the feel of it. I was training 3-4 hours a day between doing stuff in the weights, and I was starting then to like circuit classes or even aerobic classes and running more and everything. So like that was a lot. It was too much at the time, but it was a healthy addiction. And it led to me changing a lot in my nutrition and all kinds of things. And it got me more and more interested in psychology as time went on too.
Yeah. And for people who want to get started, since I was at school, I used to have this saying, because I've noticed this with different things in my life, it's never as bad as you expect it. So if you go to a gym, you might expect to be like lots of people on steroids or something like that, but usually you do find a lot of nice people over there who can also support you then, and so it's never as bad.
And that applies to everything in life. This is the problem for people in life. With every decision they want to make, whatever aspect of life it's in, doesn't matter what area of their life, there's a fear of the unknown, and people always, it's like societal conditioning to think of the worst. So we create this terrible scenario of what it's going to be like when the likelihood is that is never going to happen. So, it's like for people need to ask themselves in these things, what's the worst that can happen? Try to downplay what they're thinking it may be like and realize, look, it'll never be as bad as it seems, like what you're saying. And also that's another reason why, getting confidence, self-esteem, positive self-image is so important, because if you truly get to the point where you like yourself, love yourself, ideally even, and you don't really care what other people think, even if you're in a very kind of toxic environment like that, you kind of have a shield that can counteract it and you can still do what you need to do. And like, again, that's something that's really important. And that's where, again, ties into the mental health, that we have to get to a stage where we truly don't care what other people think, because if we're doing what's right for us and what serves us and serves, our purpose or serves a benefit or a goal, that's all that actually matters. That's all that should matter in our lives, not what other people think, because their opinions don't really matter for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. And you put a good thing out there. It has to come, if you go to a gym, if you want to change your diet and lose some weight, gain muscle, whatever it is, it always has to come out of a place of love. Because if you do it because you hate yourself, then you're just going to make things worse at the end.
Yeah.
You're going to end up engaging in things which are not that good for your health. And even your mental health is not going to be that great if you come from that kind of state of mind.
Yeah. They have to feed the right energy, and that's the thing. It's like before we came on, we spoke about energy and so on. And, basically, we're all energy, everyone's energy, and we feed off other people's energy. And that's why, like, if you're in a toxic environment with bad energy and you're not able to protect your own energy, you're just going to consume their negative energy. And that's not going to serve you very well. So this is where, like, we all have a role to play, both in creating good energy within ourselves, for ourselves, just for our own selfish needs and reasons. But then also, if we have good energy and positive energy, and we're mainly putting out positive energy, we'll have a positive impact on other people. Even if we don't even have to talk to them. Just the fact we've got a good energy, we bring that into the room. If we're engaging with other people with good energy, and we want to help people and support people with the right intentions, not wanting anything back just because we like helping people, like what we do as our career, for instance, and many other people, then you're going to have a positive impact in the world. And if you impact someone positively, they then will have more positive energy. They then will impact someone else and someone else and someone else. So, this is where people have to really realize that we are energy. Like, that's literally what we are. and we can all have such an impact in the world. You don't have to be a guru or a coach or anything. You know, if you consider yourself just an ordinary Joe So, if you have the right energy, you will impact other people positively. And it's like a domino effect. And this again comes back again to our self-care and mental health, that we have to focus on those and we have to protect them. And like exercise is a piece of the jigsaw in creating that environment in our head, our bodies, and our spirit in every sense.
Yeah. A lot of things you touched upon that, but yeah, it's true. People tend to have this idea, well, that how to say it properly, that they don't matter. They just are really, it's like an ant in an anthill.
Yeah.
Right? People have been marginalized, thinking that they have no power. But if you think about it, imagine if you meet 1,000 people, or get to know 1,000 people throughout your lifetime, and those 1,000 people are going to meet another 1,000 people throughout their lifetimes. That means you're only one person away from 1,000,000 people, and two people from 1,000,000,000. So
Exactly.
you actually have a lot of influence, and life is all about relationships.
Big time. And it's like you said, like this thing, people have been led to believe, this is the problem with like many aspects of societal conditioning, that, you know, you are insignificant, you just do your thing, go about your business, live whatever number of years and die, basically. And you can't really have an impact unless you're a big, huge guru with millions of followers and stuff like that. And, you know, social media has created that as much as the media, as well as people's societal conditioning and so on. Whereas, like you said, you impact one person, you impact 100, 1,000, they all impact someone else. Like everyone has a important role in this. And I always say to people, like, never underestimate the power of a simple action. Like even something as simple as a positive comment on a post on any social media. Who knows how many people will see that comment, and it might give them the spark to rescue their day, where they might be feeling really low, and that might inspire them, or it might give them an idea, or it might give them a little boost. You never know. It's like something I started doing probably 15 years ago, I'd say, at this stage. And my son from a few years used to ask me why you do this, but I made a decision. Every single person I meet, you know, if I'm out walking or in a shop or whatever, every person I come across, I smile at them, or I say hello to them, or wave at them, I nod at them, I acknowledge them, I do something that's an acknowledgement of their existence. And a lot of the time you don't get any, reply back from them. Like they just continue on with head down or whatever. They don't pay attention. And my son, for many years, when we'd be out walking, like walking ourselves or walking the dog, and I'd smile or say hello to people passing and I'd get no response, he'd say, what do you do it for? They don't look at you, they don't pay attention, they don't do whatever. And as I said to him, I'm doing my part, so I'm trying to give off a positive energy, a positive vibe. Who knows who's smiling at that person or nodding or acknowledging their existence? Who knows which of those people that could have just that little spark that rescues their day? They could be coming from a bad meeting, a bad experience. They'd be having a terrible day. They'd be having relationship issues. Anything could be going on. And just acknowledging their existence, that they're there, can just lift their day. And who knows what the rest of their day can go on like. Just like a smile. Like smiles are contagious. Just like laughing. Like things like that are important. So by such a tiny, seemingly insignificant action, that could be rescuing their day. If their day improves, they're giving off good energy. They could do the same to somebody else. And we never know. Like these are the kind of hidden ways that we can help each other. Like we're all humans, and we should be all doing all we can to help each other and genuinely wanting the best for everybody. Because again, when people are doing well, it creates good energy, and that again feeds onto everyone else. And you live life then consciously, and you live life with proper intentions to actually make a difference. And every single person can make a difference. It doesn't matter who you are. But again, comes back to how you feel in yourself and the energy you're giving off to other people who are in close contact, and whether you verbally speak to them or you just even passing by in the street, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's really nice, that, because a lot of people, they just go on autopilot. They do the things, walk here, go there, stop there, and suddenly someone just smiles at them and does something nice. It's like, oh, hold on, I'm actually human.
Exactly.
I am alive,
Yeah. And that's the thing. This is the thing that sadly kind of lost, especially the last couple of years. There's a lot of humanity's aspects are lost. A lot of people are literally going around, with the head down, not acknowledging each other, all this kind of stuff. And that needs to be reversed. And this is where again we all have a role to play in it. Every single one of us has an important role here. It's no different in nature. You can see like an insignificant flower or a bee or something. I think, sure, look, that's one bee out of billions and billions. Well, that bee has an important role pollinating a flower. That flower then does something else, spreads its seeds, creates more flowers, and so on and so on. So like you saying about, impacting potentially 1 million people through that one person, that flower spreading its seeds and pollinating and stuff like that suddenly creates millions and millions of flowers. So there's nothing insignificant here. And anyone watching this or listening to this, you're not insignificant. And often, unfortunately, society makes people feel insignificant. And the majority of people in reality do feel insignificant. They feel that they have nothing to add to the world. It's no different than like even writing a book. I'll often say to people, you should write a book. And you go, nah, I'm not an author. I can't write a book. Everyone can write a book. Like, everyone's got a story. Everyone's had life experience. Everyone has something that they know that can help someone else. It doesn't matter if they're, let's say, in a career industry for 50 years or they're in it 5 days. Everyone has something to learn and teach someone else. But again, it's that mentality that we have of that we're not important, we're not significant. It's only just small few people are, when every single one of us is.
Yeah. And people have just too many limiting beliefs. Like you say with the book, I'm also not into poetry. I can never really read any poetry. The amount of fiction books that I've ever read in my life is very, very small. It's just I usually just read about the things I'm interested in. So it's fact rather than fiction. I still end up writing a science fiction book. I never really expected doing that. It just happens. So
that's good. Really, outside your comfort zone as well. And like, that's another thing that we all need to do. Keep getting outside of comfort zones. Things that we don't do, or potentially maybe don't like doing, or we're afraid of doing. That's exactly what we need to be doing.
Yeah, all the things we want in our lives, they always lie outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah,
within it.
Exactly. Like, nothing comes easy. Like, and that's another thing. Like, people need to start taking personal responsibility for their lives and for their existence and for their experiences. Everything that's happened to us in the past, we played a role in it. Even if we didn't have direct control over something happening, we still played some role. Even if it was letting someone into our life who ended up doing something to us or whatever, created a life experience or had a role in life experience. We have a role in everything. So it's like what we're doing today is creating what's going to happen to us in the future. Like, it's all like a domino effect. So like, every decision, every action we take is leading to something. And this is where people have to start living consciously. And this is why people need to start breaking down their limiting beliefs. This is where people need to learn about intention. Like I said about The Secret and stuff, putting the intentions out there, but then make sure you match that with action. People need to work on self-care and self-love. People need to accept that they are humans and we are emotional beings. And because of that, we will have days we don't want to do anything. We don't have any oomph. We just don't feel like doing anything. We feel low, we feel down. And accepting that that's okay, rather than hammering ourselves for what's wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us. We're having a bad day. Now, it's important, obviously, to try to take some action to rise out of that. But there will be days where there's very little light in the darkness. And that's just how it is. And if you get through that day, that's great. You might do some basic things like getting out of bed, making a nice meal and reading something for 5 minutes. That might be it. But then go into the next day a bit more determined to make it a better day again. So, it's just, we have to accept that we're not robots. We are humans and we're led by our emotions. And some days will not be good. Some days will be amazing. The main thing is not to hide behind excuses or the blame game. Like, that's a key thing for people. That's where taking personal responsibility for everything is key. Whether it be your health, whether it be your body shape, whether it be relationships, whether it be your finances, where you are in your career, your business, or your purpose or mission. Like, we are creating it every single day, every single second. We're creating it. Like, we're pretty much like, we're the creators, we're designers, we're like the bricklayers of our lives, and it's up to us what we do with it then.
Yeah, that's the thing of the society, how it works. It kind of gives people the message that if you have a bad day, if you're feeling down for whatever reason, there's something wrong with you. You're supposed to be all the time productive and positive and all that stuff, but it's not how it works.
No.
If something bad happens in your life, someone leaves you, someone passes away, it's okay to feel down and feel some grief or sadness. It's absolutely normal. And then people end up medicating themselves, taking antidepressants with it. That's also a thing you mentioned, training and how it's great for mental health. And those studies made where exercise had the same impact as antidepressants. And
Totally.
there was another study where antidepressants, for example, they didn't perform much better than placebo.
Yeah, like it's huge. Like exercise is literally the best antidepressant. It's the best for our mind. And the thing is, it can only create positive reactions and, you know, future and, you know, stepping stones. Whereas when people are medicated, they're stuck in the same place. So it's like if someone's put on medication, it's like, okay, you're on this medication. It's not about getting off the medication. It's about, okay, this now is going to solve it and keep you as you are. It's like a lot of medication. They be talking about people living longer now. Well, a lot of people are living longer, yeah, medicated, but not having any quality of life. It's not really living. They're just existing. You know, so different in blood pressure. If I at 20 years of age go to a doctor and I'm high blood pressure, his automatic reaction is, oh, you need blood pressure medication. There's no talk of, hey, I wonder why you've high blood pressure. Have you a lot of stress in your life? What do you eat? Do you exercise? Here, let's rectify this. Because it's an easy one to rectify for 99.9% of people. Instead, it's, right, get on this medication. It's like a monthly subscription for the rest of my life. And it's the same with all these medications. And then they lead to side effects. Like every medication has to have a side effect. It's just how medication is. Natural. It's chemicals. But there's no talk of how to get off any of these bloody things. Like every medication has an important role in life for sure in certain situations. But it should be a case of a last resort, focus on prevention and treatment properly first. Last resort, and always with a focus on how to get off it eventually. So target the issue. Like I'm working in this industry, 26 years now. So I've worked with a lot of people, suicidal, depression, and on major medications and so on. And exercise has played a huge role in getting them off it, or at least decreasing the medication. And even some of them have ended up becoming coaches themselves during their own journeys, you know, to inspire others. So, you know, we have to start using exercise. It's just, look, the sad reality is there's no money in healthy methods. You know, there's no money in healthy people. It's like we take responsibility for our lives. We lead as healthy lives as we can. We're always looking to grow and develop as people in our health in every aspect. Like you and I are of no use to a lot of the industries. We don't make them money. So we're useless. Whereas most people who lead unhealthy lives don't take personal responsibility, believe everything they're told. You know, they're cash cows basically. And this is the thing that has to change. You know, people have to start waking up to the fact that they have the power. Now, a lot of people deny they have the power because they don't want to do it. You know, they just don't want to put the work in. But there's a lot of people who truly believe they don't have the power, again, just from societal conditioning. And this is where, you know, we have important roles and hopefully giving people that spark to realize they have the power, and then give them the tools through education and tips and strategies in how they can get where they want to be, whether it be physical health, whether it be physical shape, what energy, whatever it might be, you know. And like another thing is, you were saying there about people having a low day. Like how many different things can cause a low day? Like it can be, like you said, emotional stress from a breakup or someone leaving you or hurting you, a grieving of someone passing. It could also be a factor of bad sleep. Like it could be something as simple as that. You had a bad meal, you drank too much alcohol the night before. You know, it's dark, it's wintry. Certain times of the year you feel more energy, other times you don't. So like there's many factors that need to be accounted for. And it's not always about someone having big mental health issues, but oftentimes it's part of the problem. And we need to start tackling the problem and working on preventing it and treating it more kind of holistically and looking at people as individuals as to, you know, why are they going through that? And us ourselves do the same for ourselves when we don't feel good. Just as much as when we're feeling great. Why are we feeling great? Maybe it's we're around certain people or we're living a certain way. Like if someone's eating healthy for a week, they're going to feel very different if they're eating McDonald's every day and drinking a bottle of wine every night. You know, so it's very different. You know, so we have to, this again, take personal responsibility.
Yeah, most of the issues that people suffer from can be treated just for a lifestyle change.
Yeah,
it's very, very rare that something is actually genetic.
Yeah,
you know, where it's really hard to treat or something. It's like 5% or less.
Yeah, it's minute. And this is again where the blame, excuses, personal responsibility comes in. Because if you look at every kind of disease there is, diseases, viruses, ailments, pain even, it's down to the way you're living your life for, again, 99, 95% of people. So if people make the changes and take responsibility, they're going to decrease it. You know, it's no different if people have intolerances, if people have pains in their joints, you know, diseases, like it's all from acidity. You know, so if you're, for instance, consuming mainly alkaline-based foods and, alkaline lifestyle, your body is basically more alkaline than acidic. Everything's working better inside. Whereas when you consume lots of alcohol or, processed foods and all this kind of stuff, which are highly acidic, then of course your body has to rectify itself. It rectifies itself quick, but it leaches all the calcium and minerals from your bones. That's going to lead to problems then as well. So, everything has a knock-on effect. This is where every single decision and action we take has an impact. And we have to start owning that, like own our decisions and own our actions and lead to where we are. Like if someone's 20 stone overweight, it didn't just happen overnight. Society looks and goes, oh, the poor person, they're so overweight. And yeah, look, we have to be empathetic to people's situation because who knows what happened. Could have been abused as a child, never dealt with the trauma. There's lots of reasons, but also the harsh, cold facts as well is that person made poor lifestyle decisions in how they ate, drank and lived. And that's why they're 20 stone and didn't tackle, again, mental health issues, for instance. So, everything that happens to our lives and every situation we're in, it's down to something that we have done too. And we have to, again, own that, take it on board, be self-aware, and make the positive changes to reverse it. Because we can reverse everything, just like we can prevent everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the person's fault what happened to them in the past at the end, but we need to realize that it's their responsibility to overcome it in their lives.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's too much past in the book, and it's become increasingly so in the world, and this is where it's like you said about the medication. People now happily medicate for everything. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like if someone gets a mild headache, straight for tablets to get rid of the headache. Well, how about actually how much water do you drink today? Oh, I had a glass and it's 5 o'clock. You're probably dehydrated. That's why you have a headache. Or maybe you had stress that day. Or maybe you watched too much TV or on the phone. Again, there's loads of reasons.
Not enough sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas people immediately go straight to the pills because, again, we've been conditioned to do that. And of course, conditioning is hard because a lot of people aren't aware it's happening a lot of the time. But this is where we have to, again, live consciously. People are not living consciously at their actions. Because if we just stopped and thought about a lot of the stuff that we're doing and experiencing, we'd understand why it's happening. And then we can do something about it.
Yeah, it's a big problem that even at schools or at work, no one teaches us anything about self-awareness and being conscious of what's going on within you. So it's a really big problem.
Like the education system really does have a lot to answer for. Because when we take, like, kids go to school at 4 years of age, and you got preschools at 2 and 3 years of age, and you're there typically till you're 17, 18, maybe 19. If you go to university, you're talking another 4 to 8 years, depending on the career you choose. So you got from like the age of 2 or 3 up to potentially 24, 25, where it's just like a conveyor belt, and it's literally just learning stuff off. It's like a memory test. You don't learn anything about finances. You don't learn anything about personal health. You don't learn anything about, again, mindset, intention, energy. Like you don't learn anything that's actually useful to life. So when someone finishes their education, they're suddenly cast out into the real world. They're not prepared for it. Even for jobs, like what you're learning in courses, and most courses, they're not preparing you for real life situations, no matter what kind of career you're in. It's like for me, like I've about 20 something qualifications in the whole high performance area, where it be nutrition, exercise, psychology, sleep, all these different things. I don't put any credit to any of those courses on what I know and what I do with people. I put it down to experience with what I tried on my own body and my own life and what worked, as well as the thousands of people I've worked with from different demographics and backgrounds and ages and whatever. So it's the same in every aspect of life. Like it's experience that teaches us stuff. So we need to work on that all the time.
Yeah, but in my life, when I look back, I mean, school gave me, I'm actually quite lucky with the education that I got. It seems to be way better than in some other countries because I actually have some general knowledge, like what happened in the Civil War in the States, where Russia is, that kind of stuff. I know that.
Yeah.
But then when I look at all the things that had the biggest impact in my life, pretty much none of them I've learned at school. It was all the stuff that I've learned off of my own back through reading books and listening to people. More recently, listening to podcasts, that kind of stuff.
It's like with school, like, if people stop and think about back in school, what did impact them? Like you saying there, like there were some aspects you learned off. Some teachers just taught outside the box, and they taught stuff that was a little bit different, or they had a different energy, or again, they really focused on the individual versus just being a collective class of kids in front of them. So a lot of time it's the impact of individual teachers as opposed to being the system. It's like they're nearly doing stuff that's a little bit off the system. Whereas most teachers just go through it. It's just a job, just go through the motions, you know. And again, it'd be the same in every industry. It's the same in health industry. You know, a lot of coaches and therapists and consultants, like they just go through the motions. People are just on a conveyor belt. Others then, they deeply care about that individual and they'll do anything they can to help that person because they're more focused on the helping the person and changing their life than the money they get in their pocket. So, you know, I suppose it's the same kind of thing, whether it be in school or in professional life and society in general. It again comes down to individual attitude.
Yeah. And when it comes down to being conscious on one side, being aware, and then always going back to love.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do, really.
Like you think like love again is it's like a bit corny, but like love is the answer in everything. You know, it's like everyone will have been in love once or a few times in their life, and you feel like you're invincible. You know, when you love your career, love what you do, again, and you're on a high and you're doing things and making a difference, and people are telling you they're making a difference, for instance, you're on a high. When people are athletes and they're at the top of their game and winning games or winning trophies, again, it's like a high that, you know, you can't describe. And again, it all comes again from love. Like it's a powerful energy. And this is where we have to create these positive energies, love being one of them, and start counteracting negative energies. You know, we need to start focusing on them and how we live our lives and then on what we're giving off all the time.
Yeah. And people don't realize also that it's not the love that's outside somewhere that you get from other people. It's within you. You already have it there. All the things around you and the people around you, they just bring it out of you.
Yeah.
So it's all about coming back to it. Because people have this notion that people are bad from nature on, they are competitive, aggressive, and all these things. But that's simply not true. Because even if you look back at human evolution, if we were actually so competitive and everything, we wouldn't have survived. Because if you're outside in the wilderness trying to survive, you need some coherence within the tribe and some basically love and compassion to each other, so they can help each other out to survive hard times.
Yeah, it's like simply there's no I in team. Like, you know, teams, communities, you know, that collectiveness, like that. We go back a long time ago to when there was tribes. Obviously, there's still some tribes in the world, but there's not many anymore, unfortunately. But like they survived because of how they acted collectively. They wanted the best for each other. You know, in any group of people, you look at support groups, whether it be like things like Alcoholics Anonymous or drug addiction or anything at all, the people have addictions to, it's that collectiveness that gets people out of those situations and that kind of camaraderie. Look at teams in any sport who succeed at the very top and win things. It's not always about the talent in the team of the individuals. It's usually more about the actual team working together and putting on the same direction. So when we put in the same direction, we really can achieve anything. When we're trying to do on our own, you're very, very limited. And that's why we have to live lives where, or we need to live lives where we do support each other, because people often are afraid to help other people, support other people, because they think it'll impact their own lives negatively. When, like, the irony is, it's the complete opposite. Because when you're helping other people, it comes back to you. And that's thing, like, good will always come back. Look, life is tough. Life's like a roller coaster. It'll have great experiences, bad experiences. But people, you know, they attach too much importance to bad experiences as if, why is this happening? It's part of life. We have to have bad, challenging experiences. Otherwise, how are we ever going to grow? Like, if life was just plain sailing, perfect, nothing ever went wrong, well, it seems like it'd be nice, it'd be quite boring too, you know? So we nearly need the challenges at the same time, as I said, as an opportunity to grow and develop, become better people. And we need to accept that that is part of life, versus if something bad happens, that it takes us down to the floor. Now, again, we're emotional beings. It's going to affect us. We can't stop that. That's like an immediate reaction. But we have to get better at bringing up our emotional state when we need to. Just as much if something amazing happens and our emotional state goes up really high, we need to take it down because it's too high. Because when it's up so high, you're only going one direction. And when you go down, you're going to go down hard. So if you get too high from elation, bring yourself back to the middle. If you go down from something terrible happen, again, bring yourself back to the middle. And always thinking, like, you know, that's just life. Life's a roller coaster. And again, accepting who you are, and that you are a human, not a robot. So you're going to have good times and bad times, you know. And like you were saying there, in terms of, you know, accepting yourself and loving yourself, and not externally all the time. Like, that's something that's so important. We have to grow love for ourselves. It's like happiness. Like, we can do all we can to make someone else happy that we deeply care about. But if they aren't working on creating their own happiness within them, we can't change how they are. You know, we can do everything for someone, but if they don't improve their own self-love, they can't be happy, no matter what they're given or what's done for them. So, you know, this is where we all have to work on ourselves. If we want to be happy, we have to work on ourselves. And it's a continuous process. Like, it's not something you just suddenly get to the point you're happy and you stay there. Like, it's constantly evolving. We have to be evolving every day of our lives to be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah. Basically, in our society, it looks like if you're not high up here every day, you're not happy. Yeah. It's like true happiness is not being all the way up here all the time. That's what we don't realize, especially here in the West. It's being in balance.
Yeah.
Right? And like we were saying earlier, the thing is with people, and that's what many mainstream media are really exploiting people, is that we have a negative bias. And it also goes back to our evolution. Because if you're living out in nature, you hear something in the distance, some kind of noise, you have to assume the worst. It's some kind of saber-toothed tiger or something that's going to come after you. You know, over there, it plays a role. You know, but in our lives, in our society, we have lots of programming which is outdated.
Yeah.
You know, so if you always constantly focus on the negative, you know, especially these days, there's so much negative we can focus on because we have all these news outlets which push more of the negative news because it gives us more clicks.
Yeah.
But if we keep on focusing on that, there's so much of it that we just can't handle it. And that's where we need to realize that some of our old programming from the past tens of thousands of years or more, it's just not helpful anymore. We need to overcome it. And we have the capacity to overcome it.
That's where self-awareness comes in. You know, it's like you touch on the media. Like, when has anyone, or how often has anyone heard a positive news story, whether it be in a newspaper, on the TV, or on the radio? Yeah. Like, it's an absolute rarity. Like, I'm 43 years of age, and I could probably count on one hand the amount of positive stories I've heard in any form of media in my life. It doesn't sell. Bad news sells. It's like soap operas. You know, it's like certain types of movies and things. Like, they're what sells. Bad news sells. Because, again, this is where personal responsibility comes in, and conditioning as well. That people are, you know, if people can see someone having a worse life than themselves, they nearly like that. So they consume that kind of information, which is kind of a strange thing. This is where humans are, you know, inherently flawed in many ways in the kind of things that we like. But instead of taking responsibility for your life and doing something with your own life, you kind of nearly get a bit of contentedness that someone's worse off. Now, that's not a good mentality, but that's a mentality that's created from media especially. And instead, it should be about creating the positive energy and how to support each other. It's like another thing that's rife in society, sadly, is like begrudgery and jealousy and envy. When it should be in case, it's like if you were doing something really great, my mindset should be, Jesus, great what Elvis is doing. I wonder how he's doing it. I want to find out how. Instead of being, oh, Elvis, a prick, how he must have done something wrong. He must have done something wrong to do that. And I scratch your car with a coin or something. You know, so the mentality is really wrong. But there's many factors that have created that. People's environments they grew up in, people's mentalities, the media, society, and so on. Whereas, again, if we all were to create a positive energy and support each other and work for each other and learn off each other, there's more than enough resources, more than enough good things can happen. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough everything that we all can live good lives. You know, it's no different. Look at some of the big problems in the world. Like, look at starvation, for instance. Like, there's no reason for anyone to be starving in this day and age. Like, there's more than enough food there for everyone. Yet there's billions starving every day and dying every day. Like, that's just because of greed and selfishness and that distribution of the wealth that's there. And, you know, these problems don't have to exist, but they're there because, again, flaws of humans and selfishness and bad energies, you know. But it's where we have to, in our own little way, have a positive impact in the world in the way that we're living our lives and the energy we're giving off and what we can do for people. Because everyone can do something good for someone else. And it comes back and helps you anyway, because you feel good in doing it. So it's a win-win. That person benefits and you benefit from how you feel. Plus, in general, like karma and all that, it comes back to you. If you do good things, it comes back to you. Like, when people look at their lives, they'll see that, you know, if they reflect on it. Just like if you reflect on things that have been challenging, again, there's something happened from there. It led to something better. You learned something from it. Or again, if you were consciously living, you will learn something from it, because there's lessons in everything.
Yeah. Way too many people think these days that or rely on the government to come and solve their problems, or someone else, doing something.
Yeah.
But the government's not going to save you. Just look at what they did over the last 2 years, how they messed things up. When it comes to health, and we had a health crisis, and all they told us is just to cower at home, stop connecting with people, and that's it.
Yeah, like
that's not a solution.
Everything that was advised was anti-health in
exactly.
health pandemic. So this is the crazy thing about it. Like, what should have been happening was giving out loads, vitamin C, vitamin D, forcing people to only eat healthy food, take all the bad food off the shelves, things like that. Close places like McDonald's. Instead, they were the only places that were open. But that was the whole irony of it. All the adverts, TV, everything. I only once in 2 years now I've heard anything that was related to doing something for your health. And it's like us even, hide away at home, don't come out, don't meet people, don't hug, don't kiss, don't shake hands. Like, all human interaction was taken away. All the things that help us. Like I was saying earlier about me even just smiling at strangers, which will have an impact on some of them. Taking all that away, so relying on government is a crazy mistake. But that's where, for some people, they truly believe that they are there to help us and will help us. But for the vast majority, it's just passing the buck. It's just not taking responsibility for their lives, because unfortunately, taking responsibility for your own life and every action in it and everything that happens is the harder choice to take. Yeah. So most people prefer the easier option. It's like people doing the lotto. People want to hope that they'll win a couple of 100 million and it'll change their life forever, instead of going after their dreams and goals. So again, they're waiting for this lotto to sort it instead of them sorting it out for themselves. So, we live in a world where too many people, that's their mentality. They live in hope and they want someone else to sort their life out. And they play the blame game, and they, live with excuses. They hide behind excuses, really. Because at the end of the day, again, we are all playing a role in everything that has happened in the past to us. And right now, this moment and today, we're playing a role in what things are going to be like in the next few days, weeks, months, and years for us. Because what you do today is going to impact what happens in a couple of years as much as it's going to impact tomorrow and next week.
Yeah, definitely. At this point, I need to ask you finally about this, because we kind of mentioned these topics whilst we were talking now, like the energy you put out is the energy you could get back, which is manifesting, basically. Because that's something, like, I'm a fairly rational person, so I try to look at everything from all different sides. And this thing has been constantly coming to me, whether it's through meeting people or just something is popping up. And I didn't realize that you also co-wrote a book which was about manifesting, and you worked with some people that were in the movie Secret. Am I right?
Yeah. So we created a book together. Some of the people are in the Secret movie and book, quarter book, Adventures in Manifesting. And, again, the message that's being put out there by the book, as well as like what we generally do ourselves, is that, if you want something in life, you can make it happen, no matter who you are. It's like if you take every top sports athlete and actor, actress, celebrity, big game show host, whatever it might be, they were 2, 3, 4-year-old children too, who were totally insignificant, appeared insignificant, and they became famous, wealthy, happy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So none of us are insignificant. Again, go back to that point we made a good while ago. But the only way they got to that point is because they truly believed we were going to get there. They visualized about it. They thought about it. But most importantly, took the action to make it happen. So, you have to, the only way you manifest good things is if you think about what you want to have and then take action on it. And again, comes back to the energy. Like, thoughts become things. So it's like if people are thinking of bad stuff all the time and bad things going to happen to them, good chance it's going to happen. It's like if someone's out driving and think, I'm going to crash. They're so afraid of crashing. Most likely they will crash, whether it be they're so afraid they're not aware of something that they do, or someone else does something to them, but they're creating that bad energy and they're drawing it towards them. It's like a simple example. If you wake up in the morning and you're immediately in a bad mood and you hit your toes off the corner of the bed and it's bloody agony and you're cursing and swearing, thinking, oh my God, what a horrible start to the day, and you're in bad mood and bad energy. How does a day typically go if you don't shift your emotional state? Like it typically turns into a pretty crap day because it's like a domino effect, one to another, to another, to another. Unless you take control of your emotional state, which most people don't do, or they don't have the skill set or mindset to do it. You have the opposite way. You get up and you do something really positive. You do something positive for yourself. You watch a motivational video. You write out something you're grateful for. You speak to someone who uplifts you. Whatever it might be, you do some exercise. Your day, that's a positive start to your day. That typically will lead to something else positive, something else positive, something else positive, because again, your emotional state is different. So, that's one thing that's key in terms of manifesting what you want. And as I said, the other thing then is being very clear on what you want. Like whatever someone wants, whether it be the type of relationship, type of partner they want, the type of house they want, the type of business or career they want, if they want to make a difference in the world, what that looks like. If they want to, again, like we said, writing a book, what that book looks like, what cover looks like, what the title is, what the mission is, how many people see it, what bookstores it in, all these kind of things. So you have to see the stuff, just like an athlete becoming an athlete. They have to see themselves winning like a World Cup or whatever it might be. So you have to see it happening. You have to get it very clear, write it down ideally, but importantly, create that vision in your head and then repeatedly see that vision. Because look, in reality, when you first decide on a big goal, like one that's really scary, you're not going to 100% believe it's going to become a reality. Like that's just a fact. Like, you can't 100% believe something that's so far out there and scary is going to become a reality. But by you then importantly taking action towards it and repeating it in your head, like affirmations and visualizations and meditation into your head of that happening, you're getting closer and closer. And the closer you start to get to that goal becoming a reality, the more belief you gain, the more positive energy around it you gain. And then you're giving yourself the best chance to get there. So, that's the difference between people. People who succeed and achieve things are literally manifesting, but it's over a period of time of consistency, like consistently affirming to themselves what they want and visualizing and meditating and writing down and so on. But most importantly, taking action. You have to take action. And again, becoming more and more aware of energy. Energy is like we spoke before we came on about, our energy and experiences we've had ourselves and times when we've had bad energy and how the days have gone, and then times we've had good energy and how instantly things changed and good things came towards us. Because that's what happens. It's just you're putting out the right energy, a good thing will happen, and there's another good thing and another good thing, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. That's where a while ago I said about it's so important we are very conscious and aware that, look, life is never just plain sailing. So even if good things are coming, there's something challenging going to come at some stage in the future. But what's important is to be okay with that. Be aware of it. Don't have it be that something bad happens. Oh, here we go again. My life is so bad. I'm so unlucky. Like that word that people use so much. It's part of life. It's something to challenge you. It's just, in a way, it's to challenge how much do you really want the goal. Like if someone wants to achieve something, it's not going to be just skipping along happily to get to the goal. No problems. Just take the steps. No problem. There's going to be challenges along the way. And the bigger the goal is, the bigger the challenges will be, because it's nearly like you want this, we'll prove how much you want it. Here's a roadblock, here's an obstacle, here's something to challenge you. How are you going to get over this now? Or have you the desire to get over it? And when you truly want something, you will do anything you can to get over, under, through, around, whatever needs to be done to get to that place. So in terms of manifesting, you have the clear vision. That's the most important thing. And important point on that, it can be big or small. Like we're all different what we want. If you take money, for instance, someone might want to just have £1,000, euros, dollars in their bank account every month. Someone else might want to make $1 million in 6 months. It's down to us personally what we want. So forget society's conditioning of what success and happiness is, because that's not relevant. It's what do you want out of life. To decide what you want, decide what the required action steps are, keep focusing on your mindset, creating a positive mindset, creating more and more belief in what you're trying to do. Visualize again, meditate on what you want to manifest, and then take the action and keep consistent and keep going and going. Like move forward. Like if someone's consistently moving forward, no matter how slow, they have to get there eventually. It's like going up the stairs. You want to go upstairs to bed. So let's say you want to manifest, you want to be in bed and asleep. There's 20 steps of the stairs before you get up to the bed. But if you don't, you can manifest all you want, put out all the intentions you want. If you don't step on that stairs and keep stepping, you ain't going to end up in that bed. So it's like about getting that your right foot on the first step, left foot on the first step, get onto the second step, and so on. So visualize, manifest through that, but also take action to make it become a reality. So it's like I was saying, even with The Secret, that was the thing that was missing. It wasn't about the action. It was only about the manifesting or intention or putting out the right energy. action with that. That's what Adventures in Manifesting would have been more about, where we each shared a story from our life where we put out the intentions and all that side of things, but we took the action to make it happen. And then obviously the impact it had in our lives. And the big thing from that, when you manifest something good in your life, it then will catapult you to and empower you to take action towards another area of your life and achieve something else. And it's where when people achieve things, they keep achieving things. Just like if people sit around waiting for something else to happen, someone to change their life, or like I said, the lotto, nothing changes. Faith and things get worse because, you know in yourself you're not doing what you need to do. So that doesn't feel very good. So from your own self-esteem, it's not great. Whereas when you are taking the action, you know you get there and you're going to get there and you do get there, that's so empowering and energizing that you're going to achieve great things and continue to achieve great things. And importantly, your mindset is getting stronger. Each thing's making your mindset stronger, which means each time obstacles and challenges hit, you're better able to deal with them. You don't hide behind excuses or play the blame game, which is really important.
Yeah, this totally makes sense. Because a lot of people, when they hear about this manifesting stuff, they're like, oh, that's bogus, that's woo stuff. Yeah. Right? But even like I also was skeptical when I first heard about it. But it's the more I think about it, the more I observe things in my own life. It's like, well, even if you leave out all the woo stuff about connection with source or what have you, and if you're just an atheist and don't believe in this kind of stuff, still there's a lot of things in it which are very valuable. Being the self-love aspect, having a positive attitude towards things, like that's only gonna make things better in your life. And you can think about it, like if I keep telling myself I won't be able to win the Olympics, for example, right? If I come into every workout with this thought that I can't make it, then what are the chances of me actually winning the Olympics? Exactly. As opposed to if I think to myself, I can freaking do this, right? If I keep imagining myself doing an Iron Cross on the Olympics and winning the thing, I have a much higher chance of actually getting there. So this simply just makes sense, really. Yeah. And one story that comes to my mind, I think at this point, our listeners know that Jean-Claude Van Damme was very influential on me when I was a teenager. And he was one of the people that got me into fitness and martial arts. When he first came from Belgium to the United States, he was nobody. At some point, he even had to steal food to survive. Right, but even then, even when he was like fairly low in his life and just had some shitty job, when people asked him who are you, he was like, I'm a movie star. Right? So he had this in mind, and he kept working on it, he kept training. He would go to Sylvester Stallone's garden and do splits and kicks over there, just randomly. And then one day, his agent or whoever it was sat in front of him, slammed script in front of him, blood spot, this is for you. And that was his big break. He made it.
Yeah. He never gave up. Like, that's the key. Like you mentioned, Sylvester Stallone. Like, people should check out his story with Rocky. Like, he had no hope of ever being accepted as an actor because of how he sounded, and his script was never going to be accepted either. And the directors who liked the script didn't want him in it. But he was adamant, this is my movie, I'm being in this movie. And for years, he stuck to his guns, and eventually he got his break, and then the rest is history. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the same. Not exactly who you'd imagine being a movie star, but again, persistent, became a great movie star, became a bloody governor of California. Like, these guys decided what they want. Like anyone who's achieved anything in life, they decided they want it, and they would not give up until they got it. And that's what manifesting's about. And if everyone has to have at least one thing in their life that they decided they were going to do, and they would not give up until they got it. And they got it. Doesn't matter how small, it could be something to do in school or college or anything, a job, whatever it might be. And you just basically apply the same rules to everything. If you want a better body, if you want better health, if you want more energy, if you want a particular type of boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, house, car, whatever it is, like the book idea, like whatever you want, you have to have that vision, and then you have to manifest it through your intention and thought process and energy. That's one part of it. And then the action on top of that. So it's marrying those two together. that's what's key to achieve everything. You have to just keep going and never give up, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've noticed in the past as well that when I'm in a good state, when I'm positive and everything, I'm not feeling down or anything. That's when good things start happening to me. Even just last week, for example, I just mentioned it when we started talking before the recording. The first 3 days, I felt kind of low, thinking about some past stuff, and it just kind of got to me. And then, I never stay down these days. I'm not perfect. I also have days when I'm not feeling super great, which is just fine, really. But then I change my energy, get back on track, and that's when so many things come to me within a matter of 2 days, random things, like job interview, great guests for my podcast, a webinar, which are things that I want to know for quite a while. And it's very interesting how this works.
Yeah, that's why we have to work on ourselves continuously. As I said, we're evolving. Like, I'm working on myself since I was 17, so 26 years. And that's what's made me who I am today. Am I perfect? No, I'm not even close. But I'm always working and getting better and better and better. And I'll do it until I take my last breath, whenever that may be. So once you're doing that, you're in control of your life. And then you are basically creating your existence. And that's what we have to focus on. Whether it be good experience or bad experiences, we have a role in making them happen. If we want to turn dreams into reality, only we can make them happen. Of course, there'll be people along the way that will play roles, but ultimately we have to control it. Again, like being a director. You've all these actors and all these stunt people, you've got all these camera people and all these whatever different roles, but it's the director who's the one who knits all of it together, or a conductor of an orchestra. Like, there could be 100 people in the orchestra, that conductor is the key person. Take them away, there's no orchestra, there's no music. So it's the same with us in our lives. We have to be the one who's directing, conducting our lives. And that's where, again, you have to be clear in your vision, work towards it, be consistent, overcome obstacles, all that kind of stuff. Same as like with good and bad energy. If our own circle of people are very negative people who don't really serve our goals, don't really support us, don't really do much with their lives, and we're a person who wants to do a lot with our lives, we're not going to do anything because they're sucking the energy out of us. Or if you surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who want to live their best lives, be the best they can be, make a difference in the world, have good compassion and empathy, you then become more like that person. So, who we surround ourselves in is important too. And sometimes we have to make very tough decisions in eliminating or at least limiting exposure to certain people. And often that can be family members. It can be childhood friends. It could be associates. It could be a particular work environment you need to leave. So, we have to start protecting ourselves and do what's best for ourselves. And again, it comes down to self-awareness and self-love, because when you don't have self-love, you make the bad decisions because you're just hurting yourself more. When you don't love yourself, you just keep hurting yourself. When you truly do love yourself, you do things that serve you. So that's why we have to work on these things. And when people, it's like even people we see as bad people, it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they don't have any self-love. It's like a bully. Like a bully, if someone's actually a bully, it's just a sign they don't like themselves. Where society teaches us that they're actually someone who's really strong and confident and stuff like that. They're the complete opposite. They're the complete opposite. It's like people who do bad things in life. You take people who've done horrific things, even like, people who genocides, all kinds of crazy stuff that's happened in the world over time. They're not people who love themselves. Like they've done what they've done to basically counteract the lack of self-love that they have. Because I fully believe no one's born bad. They become bad from environments or experiences. And then it's like trauma. If people have deep-rooted trauma from childhood, that's going to impact their life, and most likely it's going to impact other people's lives. And it goes back to what I said, even in relationships, for instance, if you're doing everything you can to make someone happy and it's just not happening, that's down to them. They're not dealing with their own stuff, and they're not working on making themselves happy and not making themselves love themselves more. And unless they're doing that as well as you do nice stuff for them, it can't work. And that's where, because like again in relationships, people need to be on the same kind of wavelength. And if they're not, and one's growing and one's not growing, it's destined to failure, unfortunately. But we have to take care of ourselves. You have to love yourself more than anyone else. It's like in general each day, like it's like putting on your own oxygen mask first. You have to take care of you first, because when you do that, you can take better care of everybody else. It's no different like mothers. A lot of mothers will do everything they can for the children, for the house, for the husband or partner, and then neglect themselves. The irony is, if they actually took care of themselves better, they would actually be able to take better care of all those people. Instead, they see it as, I don't have time to take care of myself. But again, that's the easy option. The harder option is to take care of themselves as well as taking care of everyone else, which they will actually manage to do in a better way. So that's kind of the irony of, just take mothers as an example of what happens against society. We have to take care of ourselves first, because otherwise you just make yourself feel worse. And having no self-love is not good. It doesn't lead to anything positive.
Yeah, having the self-love, having taking care of oneself, it's like having proper foundations for a house. If you don't have the foundations properly sorted out, you probably won't even finish building the house.
Exactly.
So it's super important.
Exactly. There's nothing more important, like self-love and self-awareness. They're like superpowers, basically. For people are looking for how my life is really shitty and I'm not happy. What will change that? More self-awareness and more self-love. And it's a daily process. It's not, again, a point you come to a point where you've got perfect self-love and self-awareness and everything's rosy for the rest of your life. You have to work on it every day. Because we are emotional beings, you could be up on a high, you could be feeling amazing, everything's great, you're attracting all this wonderful stuff, your energy's good, you just feel great. In a millisecond, that can change. Something happens, someone says something to you, you suddenly get a bad phone call, maybe someone you love has passed or is very ill, someone does something to you, whatever, there's many different things can happen. Suddenly you've gone down to the floor. How you then react to that is what's crucial. And if you don't have self-love, self-awareness, you're going to stay down there. Where if you do, you're still impacted emotionally by what happened, but you've got the kind of mindset and skills, thought process to bring yourself back up to that level situation of an emotional state to kind of deal with what has to be done next. It's like people burying their head in their sand when shitty things happen. It's not going to change anything. Again, you have to do something to change a bad situation, just like you have to do something to ride the wave of a good situation. So it's, again, always about moving forward and taking action, whether it be good or bad things are going on. But self-love, self-awareness is going to be the key for it. And like I said, superpowers, they're literally superpowers.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like you said, if something bad happens, and it's up to you, because that's what Eastern traditions has always been telling us. You shouldn't accept something, but you shouldn't reject it either. And that's what we always do over here in the West. We either cling on to something, totally accept it, we want to keep it in our lives, and that creates also suffering on one side. On the other side, there's a lot of things that come to us and we reject them, we don't want them, and that creates a lot of resistance, which then leads into suffering. So you need to be somewhere just in the middle, having the balance, just being present, being with it.
Yeah, like that's really important as well, actually. We haven't touched on it yet about being present. Like, be present in your life. Be present with other people. The different way, like on this or a conversation face to face or online with people, like be present. Don't be thinking of other stuff. Don't be looking at your phone. Be present with that individual. Make them feel like they're the most important person around. Be present in your own life so you fully enjoy experiences. Even if someone's out for a walk, whether they live in a city or in the country, they're in a forest or on a main street, try to be very present in your surroundings. Hear the birds singing, hear the leaves rustling in the trees. Try to tune into things that you're not tuning into, because people are just so caught up in the busyness of life, and it's like a hamster wheel. It's like we were saying, people feel they have to keep go all the time. We need to stop it sometimes. Press stop, pause, be present, and look at all the great things that are around us. And like when you're present, you actually enjoy things. No different than someone tries to achieve something, they get there, immediately they're thinking of what's next, instead of being present and enjoying that moment and celebrating that moment, and then go on to something next. But don't just bypass it. Like, you've worked hard to get to that point. Enjoy it, be present, celebrate it, and then move on to the next thing. But that's, again, this is where we have to break societal conditionings. Like, there's so many societal conditionings. But again, goes back to the self-awareness, and having the plan and having the desire and being focused on what you need out of life and what will make you happy. So that's all that really matters. Happiness is all that matters in life. And happiness can be gained from such simple things. Again, we go back to society again, it's all about big things, big cars, big houses and watches and diamonds and all this kind of stuff. Nice to have, but do they make us happy? No. It's relationships that make us happy. the relationship with herself, most importantly, and the relationships with other people. But that's what life is about. That's what humans are. Like, we're social beings. We like to interact. So, you know, happiness comes from very, very simple things. And we need to, again, break the condition that we're all victims of. And the more you break the conditioning, the more simple life is, the happier that you'll be. It's easier to find. Doesn't mean you'll be happy all the time, of course, because like I said, life is up and down, but you're happy more often than not. And that's the key. Too many people are not happy at all, ever. Because like society is saying you have to get to this. This is what happiness is. And people are reaching. And there's no way in hell they can ever get to what society tells us is happiness. So their whole life is reaching and never being happy. Instead, if they actually had so much down here versus here, that would have made them happy if they were present and engaged and aware of, actually, you know what? I've got this down here. Forget this. I'm happy here. So stop reaching for here. It'd be nice to be here, but I'm happy down here. So, you know, that's where, again, with the break conditioning. It's like tribes in the Andes and all the different Amazon forests and so on. They appear like they've got nothing. Most of them are happy out. You know, so it's against society, and the modern world we live in has created so much unhappiness and trauma for people. But people have to, again, reach within themselves, go back again, self-love, self-awareness. Boils down to that for everything.
Yeah, it is really, life is all about the small things in life that really bring happiness. Because again, it's like I said earlier about the negative bias. You can have, actually, I've just seen an interview where someone was telling this. It was like, you can be a billionaire somewhere on your private island having some models feeding you grapes, but then you can have a sore throat, and all you think about is getting rid of the sore throat. You know, all the nice things that you have now suddenly don't matter.
Exactly, yeah. That sort of about driving you mad and irritating the hell out of you.
Yeah, it's all about just being present. And like, some people are also skeptical even if you tell them this. But the thing is, like, think about the best best moments in your life that you ever had. All of them were the ones where you were totally immersed in the moment, where you were totally in present. The first time you kissed a girl you liked, when you had sex, when you go up a hill and see this beautiful view. Those are the moments where your brain just shuts down and you just immersed in the beauty of the moment. Like, even yesterday, I went for it was Sunday. That's the day when I don't train, so I went out to the harbor. It was around sunset, and as I started walking back home, I just looked aside, and I just posted a few pictures about it, and the sky was nice and pink, and the moon was just above the horizon. I was like, God, that's so freaking beautiful, and I just felt so happy about it. It's such a small thing.
I saw that post. It was beautiful, pictures. Yeah. But that's what it is about being present. How many people were in that exact same place or within a kilometer of that place who didn't even realize the sky looked like that because they were too busy going about their lives on their phone, stress, what they had to do, and so on. They missed out on it. Whereas basically the only difference was you were present. That was it. Yeah. And like I said, look, all the times that we are at our happiness and at our highest, nearly always they're free. Something in nature, it's like you said, first kiss, first time having sex with someone, you know, beautiful things we see, sporting moments, for instance, where people win something, that final whistle, that moment, even if it's a fan, if you're a big fan of a sporting team of any kind, if they win something, you can remember that moment vividly. Like, I'd be a big soccer fan and I'd be big into Liverpool Football Club since I was 6 years of age. So I can remember vividly moments if I was either at the match or the final or watched it on TV, the moment that whistle went where they won. It's like the euphoria, and nothing else matters in that moment. And you can just remember this vivid forever. And they're free moments, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a birthday, when I was kids, like I have a son, so like his birth is something that'd be vivid in my mind forever. When I'm 90 or 100, it'll still be vivid because that moment's all that mattered. And whatever was going on in the world besides that moment he was born, didn't matter.
Yeah. It also reminds me of what Bruce Lee's son, Brendan Lee, said in an interview. He said basically we treat life as I'm totally butchering this, but never mind. We think of life as an inexhaustible well. You know, we think it's all infinite, but we actually have only a limited amount of times we're gonna experience certain things, and we all the things that were just so important to us, we probably don't even remember.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
totally.
there's a certain beauty in it, knowing that maybe you're gonna see the moon rise only like 20 times in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've no idea what's going to happen. You know, so like for instance, I'm going to be going out for a run after this, right? I've gone and run thousands of times. Some lunatic
Mm.
driver could be looking at his phone, come up on the curb and knock me down. That'd be the end of it. I could stumble, I could fall some weird way. Or that may not happen. I might live till I'm 160 years of age. But what we have to do is we have to be present and live our lives and be very conscious of time and just how precious time is, because it's the one resource that definitely is not infinite, and we have zero control over how much time we have. Like we can lead the best lives ever, and something can happen. So we have to be very conscious that every moment we have is precious and live that way. This is why it's important to make the best of your days. Don't waste them. Don't throw them away. If you have dreams, go for them. What have you got to lose? What's going to happen is you're going to lie in your deathbed, whenever that is, and you're going to regret all the things you didn't do. He said, like, I always tell people, like, be afraid of only one thing in life, and that's regret. Because when you get to the final days, you can't do anything about it. And you do not want to be consumed with regret. That's why you're always better off to do something, try something, get over the fear of it not working out. Just go for it. Because again, what's the worst that can happen? If you go back to where you were, what did you lose? At least you tried. You know, so like people fear again and they see risk and the chance of something not happening. But sure, the risk is staying where you are. So that's why we have to live fully, you know, and, you know, again, go for it, again, love, all that side of things. Like, you know, work on the things that make us happy, go for our dreams, get over all obstacles, because you get one chance at it. Like, so just make the best of it.
And to be fair, that's part of the motivation in my life. The reason why I'm doing the things I do, why I moved countries twice already, and why I, instead of just getting some kind of a generic job, why I ended up being a personal trainer and publishing a book and doing this podcast and all this stuff. But I simply don't want a life where I look forward to what's going to happen in my life, where I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that, you know, I get a degree, get a job, get a family, and then die. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
No offense.
Safe
If someone likes that, go for it. You
Yeah.
know, but for me, it's not very. Me personally, it's not very exciting.
Yeah.
And considering what we just all the stuff we said, I think it's a lot about balancing habit and novelty in our lives, and that's basically how the universe works. You know, all of these people, like we said, you know, there's all this beauty around, but they go around like this on their phones, stressing and stuff. They're stuck in the habits, you know, things they do every day, you know, work and all that stuff. So they don't end up seeing all the novelty, which is around them or within them, their imagination and creativity on all that stuff. And so it's about balancing them too. If you have too much creativity and no habit, and all that new is never gonna stick around. You know, you can all have all these ideas, but if you don't put some habit into it, into making them into reality, bringing them into the real world, then it's gonna disappear, and there's no use of it. So it's a lot about the balance of habit and novelty in our lives.
Completely, yeah, completely. You know, and again, just live life fully. It's simple as that. Live life fully and fear regret. Like, you know, we need to start. One thing we need to really start doing is making life more simple. People are always looking for magic bullets and magic blueprints and some secrets. There's no secret. Like, you know, what do you want out of life? What's your vision? Go out there and put the work in and be consistent with it, and believe in yourself and work on yourself and just keep going. And that's it, really. You know, there's no magic. You know, the people who are perceived as the most successful, that's all they've done, and they're just normal human beings, not super people. You know, they're just normal people who were kids, just like when you were a kid. Just they took action, and they, you know, from manifesting, putting out the right energy, the right people come into their lives to take them to the next level and the next level and the next level. You know, it's like when people would say sometimes with luck, you know, people are lucky. What do they say? It's preparation meets opportunity. You know, it's like if someone makes it top of a sport, how many other kids were as good as them? Millions probably, but they didn't truly believe they were going to get there. or they didn't take the right actions, or they weren't working manifestation, visualization, meditation. You know, that's the difference. It's like the 100-meter final. When you take away the Usain Bolt era, most of those guys on the starting line are pretty much as good as each other. The winner is typically the one who believed more than the rest that he was going to win. That's basically it. Because they're all pretty, like, they're all the best. Like, you're talking milliseconds between the winner and the person who's 8.
Yeah.
The only difference is the winner believed more. That's it. You know, maybe they visualized 1 billion times instead of one less. You know, like, so we can create our own reality, and there's no boundaries. That's what's exciting. That's why we should wake up excited about every day. Now, does that mean you're going to be excited every day? Of course not. You're going to have crap days too. That's just life. But you should be grateful and thankful for each day, and be as excited as you can be, and go out there and want to basically go to sleep peacefully at night, knowing that you gave it your best shot.
Definitely. So we're going for 1 hour, 40 minutes roughly. So last 3 questions, okay? Yeah. Before it gets too long. So first one, if there was one advice you could give to people, one short advice, what would it be?
Yeah, I think I said a few times there, I think the most important thing for everybody, fear regret. I think, and that's a wake-up call everyone needs, to truly fear regret. Like, people fear all kinds of things in life, and they're not to be feared. Like, you know, so regret is the thing that has to be feared, because if you truly fear it, then you will live each day like it's your last day, and you will live fully, more often than not anyway. So I think fear regret, the most important thing for people to take even from this, if they took nothing else.
Nice. Second question. What does masculinity mean to you?
Masculinity, it's an interesting question. Obviously, like, there's different aspects to masculinity, femininity, and we all, every human has parts of each. Like, I think masculinity, like, again, it comes down to you yourself. We're all individuals, and we all, again, have different balances even within that, masculinity, femininity. Like, every guy has an element of femininity, every woman has an element of masculinity. I think the key is, again, being authentic to your own true self, whatever the balance that is for you. So whatever aspects of masculinity that you have, to put them out there and be unique within yourself and embrace who you are. Because we're all, again, individuals. And again, this is where, again, society boxes us into, this is what, again, let's say a man should be, this is what a woman should be, and so on and so on. We need to embrace who we actually are and be truly authentic to who we are, and live life in as such. Because otherwise we're being disloyal to who we truly are. You know, not to hide behind us. So in terms of like that, what masculinity is for me, it's like living whatever, as a male, if you're a male, you know, what is the true essence of who you are, and to live life authentically that way. And again, comes back to the whole self-love idea. Like, if you don't truly love yourself, you won't. You know, you won't truly embrace your own uniqueness. We're all unique, like, we're all different in every way. It's embracing our uniqueness and living true to that. That's what I would say for it.
Very good. And last question, easiest. What do you think is the meaning of life or existence?
The meaning of life and existence. Again, it'll be a little different for everyone, but I think meaning of life, you know, touching on something we said a few times, like, we all can have an impact. We need to have an impact in our life. We can have an impact on other people's life. And I think, you know, we all should be looking to live a life where we make some positive impact on others, whether that's an impact on 5 people, it could be just a direct family, or it could be millions and millions all over the world. And I think, like that, the meaning of life for everyone should be to make a positive impact on others in that way, and using our own uniqueness, like I touched on there in the last question, to help other people, and also touching on our own skills and our own, you know, strategies and whatever we can do, sharing our life experiences. For me, that would be what the purpose of life is. You know, for us to make a difference in other people and try to create a better world. Because, you know, there's a lot of messed up stuff going on in the world. There always has been, but it does definitely seem like it's increasing instead of going the other direction. And I think now more than ever, we need to help each other, to support each other, and be there for each other, put out the right energy, and live with purpose, like have an actual purpose in our lives. And like that, having the meaning of life, to enrich other people as well as enriching ourselves. Like, it's important we have our own selfish needs. But, like, there's people see selfish as bad. There's a good selfish, and there's a bad selfish. Like, there's bad selfish where we're negatively impacting other people by our behaviors. Like, that's bad. But there's a good selfish where we're taking care of ourselves. Like I said, putting on our own oxygen mask first and so on. So for our own selves, we need to live the best life for us, whatever that means to us. But in doing so, we will positively impact other people because we'll be happy, we'll put out the right energy, and that reverberate like a domino effect. And then to consciously make a difference in other people's lives. So for me, I think that's what the meaning of life would be, for us to leave our mark and help other people and make it a better place.
Perfect. Right. I really enjoyed talking to you today. So just last thing, where can people find you?
I'm on across all social media. If people just put in my name in Google or any social media, you'll find me. Or website's davesheahanhighperformance.com. And if I can be of help to any person, whether it be asking a question, wants a little chat, needs a pep talk, shoot me a message. I'm freely available on all platforms. And, I get back to every comment and every direct message always. So feel free to contact me. I'm here to help. That's basically my mission. My own mission in life is to have a positive impact on others. And that's the way I've lived for the last 6 years now. And I'll do it to my last breath, I imagine.
Awesome. I will put all the relevant links in the description. So thank you very much for coming to our podcast. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.